Hi, Coach. I know we've talked so much about Connor McDavid this year. I'm wondering if you can speak to what you think has changed in his game over the past few months and what that'll do for your group heading into the playoffs.
Who are we talking about?
Connor, Connor, Connor McDavid. You just spoke.
What's changed in his game?
Yes.
I don't know if anything's changed. He just continues to excel at everything he does well. You know, he's a very motivated player this year. He's come back, had a good summer of training, and has come back and is really driving his game to new levels. And he continued that all the way through. And you know, he was even some games down the stretch here that probably didn't mean a lot in the standings. He was still geared up. So he's in a good frame of mind. He wants this team to do well. He wants to do well himself, and so he's pushed himself to get better every game.
And what do you think that does for your group as a whole to have a leader like that heading into the playoffs?
Well, we like our whole team, but your top players or your leadership group has, you know, they kind of are the identity of your team. Your team's got to come in. They know they have to do their job and lead with doing what they do well. So when that's the identity of your team, they take a great deal of responsibility of that. And Connor's obviously done a great job of his play, and his on the ice and off the ice leadership has been excellent.
Jim Matheson, Post Media.
Dave, Paul Maurice was saying yesterday that once the playoffs begin, your most important player is your goaltender because they're the only ones that play 60 minutes. And no matter how good the other players are, your goalie's playing 60 minutes. Do you subscribe to that theory?
Well, I think Paul can have all the theories he wants. I've got my own, and I'll keep those to myself.
So if goaltending is very important in the playoffs, then does the goaltender on your team have to outplay the goaltender on the other team?
Everybody knows goaltender is important in the playoffs. That just goes without saying. Just like top players, your power play is important, your penalty kills and clear. They're all parts of the equation of trying to win.
Thank you.
Ryan Shrug, TSN.
Dave, you were with Mike Smith earlier in his career when he was playing some of the best hockey of his career. He's doing it again this year. What is similar about him right now, and what's a lot different about him right now than back then?
He's an ultra competitive guy. He came back this season, you know, even though he was 38 at the time, turning 39. He came back very motivated, had lots to prove, and he's come in and played very well. So he's an ultra competitive guy, loves situations where you can play on a bigger stage, and has earned the right to this year.
Do you think that he does a different job or a better job of, you know, managing the emotions that are involved in a hockey game? And I think he said this about himself last week. He feels he does. But do you see him handling that better?
Well, I've seen him grow since he was, I think he was a 20-year-old or 19-year-old kid walk in the dressing room when I looked at him and said, "Who's that guy with the long hair?" And so I've seen him grow over his career, and I would say that's probably accurate. He's manages the emotions. That's just out of maturity, and just continue to you know, get better and better and focus on what he can control. And when he needs to be emotional, he will. And when he knows he has to control those emotions, he's well versed in that also.
Daniel Nugent-Bowman, The Athletic.
Afternoon, Dave. Zach Kassian skating with the team today. What sense do you get of kind of where he's at after kind of being out for a little while here with this injury?
He's worked hard to get back and ready to play. I'm not sure where he is yet. We'll see where it goes the next few days.
Yeah, he's a player that obviously people talk about Zach Kassian in the playoffs. And what kind of element potentially could he bring to this team as a guy that likes to kind of get his nose dirty and play physically in the playoffs?
Well, he's a big, strong guy who can skate, has good skill, and is engaged in the game. So players like that usually have success in the playoffs.
Jason Gregor, TSN 1260.
Dave, what is it about Cuckoo's game? He was paired up with Barrett today, so it looks like he'll be in. What have you liked about him this year? And What's your expectations on what he'll bring to your team in the postseason?
Well, we're just don't read in a lot of things. We've got good depth at defense now. Kook has come in. He's got good experience. He's a big guy that plays well down low in our zone. You know, we got to make sure he's back up to full speed. He played a strong game the other night against Vancouver, so we'll see where it goes. But he's a strong defender, recognizes situations, and you know, has some good playoff experience.
Usually, Dave, the playoffs will start on a Wednesday, and by Friday, everybody's already played. This year, it's obviously different. As a coach, you know, how many of these games are you watching? Do you, I know you're not playing, but how's your intensity change as a coach when is it almost like you're a kid at Christmas just waiting because you got to wait an extra few days than you normally would?
Yeah, playoffs are a different animal. You know, you see the games. There's so much on the line. You see the passion and the work that goes into those games, and you know, whether you're a player or you're a coach, you're watching games. I mean, I think all of our players were laughing. They were talking about watching the games yesterday. What'd you do yesterday on a day off? We watched hockey all day. So that's what playoffs is all about. It's the best hockey you can see. It's best hockey in the world. Some of those games yesterday were competitive. You know, everything's on the line. Overtime hockey, I've said for years and years, overtime hockey is, I think, the best sporting event on TV. So it started with a bang yesterday. It's fun to watch.
Steve Wino, Associated Press.
Yeah, following up to that, Dave, has the familiarity between teams made this hockey better? I mean, obviously 3 overtime games, 4 one-goal games so far.
Yeah, I think it has. You know, you got these teams that have played in divisions and played each other a lot of times, so it's like they've been, you know, in playoff prep all year long, and now they're getting to the pinnacle of it. So you just see it in the competitiveness, and the games are just so tight. I think that's the way it's going to be.
You had Mike Smith on a run of the conference final 9 years ago. He's 38 years old now. Do you ever marvel at how he's doing this? Yeah. You ever marvel how he's doing this well late in his career?
No, I know how he's doing this well. He's a phenomenal athlete. He's in better shape than a normal 39-year-old would. He's a phenomenal athlete, and he's still driven to play well. And like I mentioned just a few minutes ago, he's ultra competitive. So he's had a great year, and expect him to play well in the playoffs.
Jim Matheson.
Dave, last year, Kyler Yamamoto said coming into the season he didn't play all that well in the play-in round. What do you want to see from Yamamoto in this playoff, considering he's had so much trouble scoring goals?
Well, he does a lot of things well in the game. He hasn't scored as much as he'd like, but if you watch the guts of the game and what he does in it, he's done a pretty good job. So he has to continue to just do the things that he does well. Now, I think eventually he's going to get rewarded for that. Hopefully that's in the playoffs. But he touches a lot of parts of the game that the stats don't say, but he does things that allows your team to win, and that's what we expect from him in the playoffs. And you know, along with that, if he can capitalize on some of the opportunities he's got, you know, he'll have a good playoff. And
you still feel that Chris Russell is not a starter, at least for the first game?
It's his first practice with the whole group today. Same with Cassian. So I haven't checked with them after practice here yet. So we'll see where things go.
Good. Thank you.
Jack Michaels, 630 Ched.
Dave, I think this is your 22nd trip to the playoffs, including your playing days. From a coaching perspective, how would you say your preparation has evolved from year one in Houston to now?
You continue. Every experience is different. Every group you have is different. This is a different year because you know, there's years where you end up with a playoff opponent that you maybe only played 1 or 2 times, and all of a sudden they're your opponent, so you got to do a lot more homework on them. This year, every opponent in the first 2 rounds, you're going to know very well. So every year is different. Like I say, the players you have is different, situation is different, and obviously much different from a player to a coach. But you know, the game tends to evolve. But this year is unique because it's almost like you played a series against them already.
Thanks, Dave.
Yeah.